Man, guys, we're going to dive right into this auto pen stuff. It just keeps getting just weirder and weirder as more information keeps coming out about this. And I think it was super interesting and kind of concerning that someone other than the president was able to really go about and get these pardons done via an auto pen. Okay, and we're going to really dive into the details. We got a couple really good articles from different sources as well, because like I said, we try to keep it as unbiased as we can. And we got a couple clips too, just showing you exactly what was happening, and then also showing you a little montage of Joe Biden saying every single time that he wasn't going to pardon Hunter Biden, but we all knew that was going to happen. All right, guys. So welcome to Get Into the Facts. I'm your host, Andrew Curiel. We did hit 200 subscribers, guys, so really appreciate you. This is just a nice little hobby I like doing, and if it turns into something great, if not, I'm still going to keep giving you these videos and keep getting to the facts every single time. All right, but let's get back. Let's dive right in. We got this from ABC News. All right. Trump doubles down on auto pen claims as Biden blasts president supporters as liars. Former President Joe Biden, in an interview with the New York Times published on Sunday, said that he personally made every clemency and pardon decision during the last few weeks of his presidency, including those made with an auto pen. However, he and aides told the Times that some decisions for large batches of pardons were based on broad categories that various people fell into, not based on reviewing individuals on a case-by-case basis. Biden said he approved the categories and standards for choosing who to pardon. I made every single one of those, and including the categories when we set this up to begin with, Biden said the clemency and pardon decisions. And just stopping right there, guys, that to me is super concerning. I don't think the president's powers of being able to pardon whoever they want, which is legit, they definitely can do that. I don't think it was meant to just like, oh, here's a broad category of people that could fall into this that will just pardon. So I'm gonna give my chief of staff the ability to just approve every single pardon he thinks that we need based on them qualifying for this criteria. I mean, that is ripe for fraud in my personal opinion. Like, there's no way you can slice it. That is going to be ripe for fraud, and I don't think in the Constitution it said that the president can issue categories for pardons. It said they can pardon who they want. They can pardon, not authorize their chief of staff to pardon. I think that's a big thing, but let's get back to the article. But that's just weird in my opinion. All right. In December, Biden pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, who was convicted on tax evasion and federal gun charges, commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 people on home confinement, and pardoned 39 people who were convicted of nonviolent crimes. In January, he pardoned nearly 2,500 nonviolent drug offenders. On the last day of his presidency, he issued preemptive pardons to potential targets of the incoming Trump administration and to several close family members. President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans have also focused their ire on Biden's use of an auto pen device to sign pardons and other documents, claiming either that the pardons Biden approved are void because they were signed using an auto pen, or that it matters who controlled the auto pen when the pardon were signed. Trump has said he has used an auto pen for some trivial matters, but criticized use for pardons. And I completely agree. And I think it's the latter that matters the most, guys. The latter matters the most when it comes to who actually authorized for those pardons. Was it Joe Biden? Did Joe Biden give that authorization? I don't think the approving the categories is going to stand up in court. I really don't. I really don't. He needs to approve, and he can tell us, he can be the one that approves it on paper to, get the auto pen to be used. I mean, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But when the person who actually signed off on that pardon was not Joe Biden, that is the clear-cut null and void. That doesn't count, okay? And it shouldn't count. It shouldn't. The president should have to knowingly sign off on every pardon, okay? And if it's a group of people, he can sign off on the group of people. You know what I mean? Like, but just flat out saying like, oh, these are the categories. Go and search for the people for those categories, and if they fit, they fit. That is not that's different than saying a whole group of people are pardoned under this pardon. You know what I mean? It's completely different. And I think that's the issue that we're kind of facing with that. But it's just crazy how they were using this. Let's see here. In June, Trump ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate whether the Biden administration sought to conspire to cover up his mental state while in office and to look through Biden's use of the auto pen. Biden defended the use of the auto pen. The auto pen, is is legal. As you know, other presidents use it, including Trump. But the point is that we're talking about a whole lot of people. They're all liars. Biden also said of Trump and the Republicans, they know it. They've had a pretty good going here. They've done so badly. They've lied so consistently about almost everything they're doing. The best thing they can do is try to change the focus and focus on something else. And I gotta kind of address that real quick. In my personal opinion, the party that has been doing the most lying and been doing the most authoritarian acts over the last 5 years has definitely been the Biden administration. I mean, I think we kind of forgot about COVID, but they were trying to force that vaccine down our throats from the very, very beginning of the administration. They almost allowed COVID passports, where you had to have your COVID card stamped that you got your vaccine in order to go in any public space. I mean, I think we forget about how authoritarian that was. You want to talk about fascism? You want to talk about all that dictatorship type stuff? That is what the Biden administration was doing. Like, it's just so crazy how they try to flip this whole fascism thing on Trump when he's not doing anything fascist. He is trying to use the laws already on the books to get things done that we actually voted for. That's not fascism. That is just not an authoritarian dictatorship. That is not. But when you start mandating mask mandates and getting a new vaccine that hasn't even gone through long-term clinical studies, that is authoritarian. That is more like a dictatorship. Okay? That is not something that was passed by Congress. That was laid out. National emergency is what they labeled it under. And now everyone's trying to apologize and make people forget about it. Okay. But we can't forget about it when they keep trying to throw this stupid fascism label on what Trump's doing. And it's not fascism. He's using the laws on the books that you guys decided not to use. You know what I mean? So let's dive right in. We got this other article too, from the New York Post. Biden only hand signed one pardon during final spree, and it was his most controversial one. I bet it was. Former President Joe Biden only signed one pardon by hand during his final weeks in office, and was his most controversial one. The Justice Department is reviewing the list of people granted pardons by Biden amid new concerns about his use of an auto pen to automatically sign documents and concerns about his state of mind and mental acuity on his final months in office. Biden used his final weeks as commander-in-chief to grant clemency and pardon more than 1,500 people in what the White House described as the largest single-day act of clemency by a U.S. president. Biden appears to have signed those final pardons, including preemptive pardons for members of his family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and members and staff of the House committee investigating January 6th. But the former president signed one by hand for his son. Biden pardoned his son Hunter in December 2024 after vowing to the American people for months he would not do so. Hunter Biden was found guilty of 3 felony gun offenses during Special Counsel David Weiss' investigation. The first son was also charged with federal tax crimes over his alleged failure to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes. Before his trial, Hunter Biden entered a surprise guilty plea. Blah, 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 blah. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted for president. Okay, guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember about the whole Hunter Biden thing. Unfairly prosecuted my ass. He tried throwing away the gun in a dumpster near a school. He forgot his laptop that had all the criminal activity on it at a repair shop. I mean, he lied on the gun application. He he didn't even file his taxes properly. 1.4 million in taxes not paid. If any one of us regular people did that, we'd be in jail immediately. Okay. I mean, this is just so laughable. It's so laughable. But what's even more laughable, and I don't even know if it's laughable, it's kind of concerning, is the fact that we're arguing about whether the auto pen pardons are valid, but even Joe Biden knew that they weren't valid. You know how I know he knew? Because the only one that he manually signed was for his son. The one that he cared about the most. He's the one who actually signed that. That speaks volumes, guys, on just him knowing that, okay, they might be able to argue about these auto pen pardons, especially since if they find out that I actually wasn't the one who authorized all of these in the first place. Let me make sure that the one for my son is completely signed by me. Guys, I don't know, but that is very, very suspicious in my personal opinion. Very, very suspicious. So we're going to go because, he did say that there was a bunch of times where he said he's not going to step in the way. He's not going to give his son Hunter Biden a pardon. I mean, because that's what they were on Trump about, that he was going to pardon his whole family for nothing. Well, let's see what he had to say. Let's see this little compilation video of exactly what he said.
Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Mr. President, do you plan on commuting to your son's sentence?
Good evening. We are coming on the air with breaking news tonight. President Biden has made a decision to pardon his son Hunter ahead of the transfer of power to President-elect Donald Trump, according to a senior White House official with direct knowledge of the decision.
I mean, guys, that is absolutely crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy how we've gotten to this point. He said many times he's not going to pardon his son. Not going to pardon his son. I believe in the Justice Department. I believe in the Justice Department. And then right before he dips out, boom, fresh signature. My signature. No auto pen. There you go, son. Like, I don't understand how anyone can actually be on his side when it comes to this. It's the most blatant overuse or abuse of power, being the president doing that. And also, when he did that pardon, he backdated it all the way to 2014. Why would he do that? Because of Burisma, the energy scandal in Ukraine. And where are we at war right now? Well, not in war, but we're supplying the damn war. Ukraine. I mean, guys, there's way too many connections here, and they were trying to get Trump on this quid pro quo when it was actually Biden who did it. He's on video with the quid pro quo. Like, it's just so crazy how all this is entangled, and the average person is too busy trying to just pay their bills and advance their lives and we've also told people for decades not to care about politics, but all of that combined into this mess where the average person really isn't really in the weeds on this. But this is concerning. This is why it matters that we need to pick our politicians correctly. We need to kind of give a crap a little bit on exactly who we're putting in office to represent us. Because this is concerning as hell. Absolutely. But let's go over here as well, guys. Got another one. Biden admits he didn't approve each individual pardon. Chief of Staff Zients signed off on last day clemencies. Former President Joe Biden has acknowledged in a stunning new interview that he didn't agree to the name of every person who received one of the 46th president's sweeping pardons, with emails indicating that then White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients approved the use of the notorious White House auto pen. The 46th president insisted in a phone interview with the New York Times last week that I made every decision about clemencies issued during his term before admitting that he had his staff replicate his signature because we're talking about a lot of people. Biden's team used an auto pen on 25 warrants for pardons and commutations in December and January of last year, but 2 of those warrants granted clemency to thousands of people. I mean, that is just, I just don't understand this, guys. I really don't understand it. It's just the weirdest thing to me on how we even are okay with this. On December 12th, Biden commuted roughly 1,500 sentences and outright pardoned 39 more. 3 days before he left office, the president commuted the sentence of nearly 2,500 federal inmates convicted of crack cocaine offenses. And honestly, guys, I'm okay with the nonviolent drug offenses, pardon them. But again, those are federal convictions, federal nonviolent convictions. That doesn't take away any of the state convictions. And if they have state convictions, which if you're at the federal level for a nonviolent drug offense, you definitely have state convictions, they're still going to be in jail. So it's kind of like, oh, I pardon all these people. Okay, great. Are they free? No. Like, what does it even matter at that point? You know what I mean? But I guess they'll get a shorter sentence, and they can ask for reprieve and stuff like that. But it's just kind of funny when you actually look at the details of when the federal government pardons, but they still have state convictions. It's not going to change anything for them, at least in the short term. But let's get over here, guys. We have this last video as well. Really kind of just getting into the weeds on what they are saying, and this is from Fox News, on just what they think is so scandalous and why this is a bigger scandal than a lot of people even think. Because again, guys, we're talking about someone who's not the president that is officially being the last approval for pardons. It's not the president. That is the most concerning thing in the world, that the chief of staff is able to be the final approval for pardons based on categories that Biden approved of. That is just crazy to me. But let's get over here and see what I'm talking about.
Fantastic to see you. Your fellow Senator Eric Schmidt said this: after Biden's sign-off, when he claims he personally approved every pardon, after that sign-off, his staff quietly added violent criminals to the list and then ran them through the auto pen without telling him. According to, this is the last line of the New York Times article, Mr. Biden granted Hunter Biden a full pardon in December 2024. It was the only clemency warrant in that period that Biden signed with his own hand.
No
shit. The American
shit.
people want to know what you, as an elected senator, and all the Republicans holding office, what you're going to do to stop this, reverse it potentially, and make sure it never happens again.
Well, you nailed it. This is explosive. This should be capturing the attention of every American. And I said it while I was Attorney General. I often refer to their dangerous acts as his handlers were at it again. So many things that they did in that administration were so dangerous and so undermined this country that you knew it was radicals run amok. And this is just another exposure of staff gone wild. So on the last day of the presidency, and now we know it's fact, that Biden they just discussed with him some general guidelines, and the staff came up with who they would pardon, and not just for crimes that had already occurred, preemptive pardons, like crimes that might occur in the future by specific individuals. So this is shocking. It's like staff gone wild. It's like Oprah giving out cars. You get a pardon, you get a pardon, and you get a pardon. That was staff on the last day, and Biden had no idea. The auto pen decided who got that pardon at the end of the day. I sit on the Judiciary Committee. You better believe we're going to be looking into this further. We've already had one hearing, and I think this is one of the largest underminings of our system of government in our nation's history.
Senator Moody, I know we're talking a lot about the pardons and the commutations, but in June of this year, President Trump ordered a review, ordered a good, strong look into the over 200 judicial confirmations signed by Biden, and over 1,000 official documents. The Democrats have tried a judicial coup on this president since his first election. Should we be concerned about the judicial nominations and appointments by Joe Biden and those 1,000 documents?
Look, I am one of the senators that has said this is not just about the auto pen and the pardons. This is about the auto pen and every action by this president when we knew that staff was running the country. And an
All right, guys, we got to see the main point that I was trying to get at there. And again, this is something that should be very concerning, especially if you're one of the people. And again, I don't think Trump has been authoritarian or, is taking us towards fascism. I don't see that whatsoever. But what the Biden administration was doing is a clear sign of authoritarianism. Okay, we were not being ran by a president either. We were getting ran by a conglomerate of Biden administration people. And it seems like the chief of staff basically had just as much power as the president when it comes to pardons. I mean, that is just crazy how that's even allowed. And it shouldn't be allowed. And I think that's why this will get brought up in court. And I do think there's going to be an issue now that it's come out that in those emails that the chief of staff, not the president, the chief of staff was the final approval on a large amount of these pardons. The only one they can't flip, it seems like, is the Hunter Biden one, because Joe Biden knew and he signed that one himself. That just speaks volumes. Okay, it speaks volumes, guys. But again, we just need to care a little bit more about who we put into office, and try to make sure we hold our politicians accountable. Like a lot of people are trying to hold Trump accountable, which is great. We should hold every politician accountable. It's just kind of funny how it seems like we're holding him to such a higher standard than any other president, which at the end of the day, I'm fine with. He's getting things done that we voted for him to come in here and get done. So I'm absolutely fine with it. I just think it's giving such a scrutinized lens, and it's making it to where he cannot mess anything up. Otherwise, it gets blown all the way up to the ends of the earth. And it is what it is. Trump's made for it. He's gotten things done. He's continued to do things the way that we voted for him to do. And I think you're going to see a lot more success once a lot of these tariff deals start coming in as well. And if they don't come in, we're going to make a crap ton of money in the tariffs anyway. And as long as businesses and corporations can hold off and not raise prices more than what inflation's already at, I think it's a win. All right, guys. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I know we're halfway through this week, so enjoy the rest of the week, guys. But I'll see you on the next video.